Hey guys, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I wanted to make an updated video on my all-time favorite movies. This is a video that I did a couple of years ago now, and I just wanted to make an updated video to that list because I feel like I always get asked the question, what are your favorite movies of all time? And I always kind of freak out because I have so many favorite movies of all time. This isn't going to be a complete list because I could go on for hours and hours if I were to do every single movie that I consider to be an all-time favorite, but I will leave a link down below for my Letterboxd list that's called all-time favorite movies, and it'll have a more extensive list if you're looking for some other recommendations as well. But these are going to be my 16 top favorite movies of all time, and these are the movies that when I do get asked that question, what are your all-time favorite movies, these are the first ones that pop into my mind, and these are the movies that I just want to rewatch over and over and over and over and over again, and I feel like they just get better with every viewing experience, and I'm just kind of obsessed with them. Like, these are the ones that I probably talk about the most, that I think about the most. But before we do jump into this video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. They have classes for everyone that can inspire you to learn something new. If you're anxious at this time, you can explore classes that may help you express what you're feeling through creative self-discovery. If you're uncertain about what's next, a creative challenge or productivity class may offer a helpful structure for setting small goals and feeling a fulfilling sense of accomplishment. Spontaneous acts of creativity may help break up the routine of a day spent indoors. I know for me personally, drawing, writing, and journaling classes can be a great way to help manage stress, practice mindfulness, and feeling connected to one another. And if you are interested in movies and films and all the work that goes into making those, then I think you might enjoy this class that I've been taking called Video Editing, Transforming Footage into Evocative Travel Stories. And this one has taught me so much about video editing and all that goes into it, and I feel like this is a great class even for somebody who's on YouTube maybe and wants to learn more about video editing. And it's really amazing to me how much music can make the biggest impact on video editing, and how if you find just the right music clip for certain clips of footage that you're editing, it can make all the difference. But if that class doesn't sound interesting to you, they do offer classes in many other different creative things like writing, design, animation, marketing, web development, like so many different things. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. So the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. I've had a really wonderful time exploring my creativity over these last few months with Skillshare, and if you use the link in my description, you can get 2 free months so that you can do the same. So yeah, huge thanks to Skillshare. Definitely be sure to check out that link, and let's get right into my favorite movies. These are going to be in no particular order, by the way. I'm just going to be going through my top 16 faves of all time. So the first one is going to be an older classic, and it is The Shining. This movie is one of my all-time favorites because I'm just obsessed with like the mood and the vibe of this movie so much. I love Jack Nicholson's performance in this. It's just very eerie and weird and creepy. Me and my sister have been getting into this routine where every Halloween we rewatch The Shining, and it's honestly become one of my favorite traditions that we've started because this movie is just everything. I just love it so much, and this movie has a really interesting history too if you take the time to learn more about the film and like the production process and everything. I don't know, I love the fact that this movie, it's like not only is it kind of like a creepy paranormal vibe to it, but it also has this like real life genuine creepiness and scariness to it. Like if your dad is an alcoholic and you're afraid he's gonna hurt you, kind of real life scary shit, you know? And it's just such a classic. I love The Shining so much. It's just great. And then the second movie I wanted to talk about is Inception! Inception is usually the movie that I tell people is my all-time favorite movie. Like whenever they just ask for one, I'm like, Inception, because Inception is kind of the movie that got me into films. Like after I saw Inception, I was like, what the heck did I just watch? Like this is freaking amazing. Never seen anything like this before. And Christopher Nolan's mind is just incredible. I love everything about this movie. I feel like I pick up on different things every time that I watch this movie, and this movie really also made me fall in love with ambiguous endings because this was the first movie that had that ending that I was like, what? This movie literally makes my brain hurt when I'm watching it because it's just like there's so many layers and there's so many things, and I love Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie. Everything about it, it's just chef's kiss. The third movie is gonna be Donnie Darko, which is kind of also an older movie. I think this one came out in like 2001, but this movie stars my favorite actor, Jake Gyllenhaal, as a fetus, and he plays a teenager in this movie named Donnie Darko. And this movie, like, what is it even about? I don't even know. It's kind of like about time travel. It's like sci-fi-ish, and it involves a 6-foot bunny rabbit that he talks to because he's schizophrenic, maybe. But I love this movie so much. I feel like this is also one of those movies where I learn more and pick up more things every time that I watch it. And it's just so rewatchable. This movie has some of the best quotes. I quote this movie on the daily. The fourth movie that I wanted to mention is La La Land. Yes, I'm a basic bitch, but I love La La Land. La La Land just makes my heart so happy, and literally every time that I rewatch this movie, it just fills my heart with so much joy. I love Ryan Gosling, I love Emma Stone. Their chemistry is unlike anything else I've ever seen on screen. And I'm from Los Angeles, so I kind of realized that this movie definitely glamorizes Los Angeles, and it's not totally a fair representation and a real representation of Los Angeles. But you know what? I don't even care. It just makes me happy. And the music in this movie, like, I'm not even a musical person, okay? I don't usually enjoy musicals, but this movie is everything. I love everything about it. Damien Chazelle can do no wrong. The fifth movie is gonna be The Dark Knight, which this one is also up there with like one of my absolute top favorites of all time, because Heath Ledger as the Joker is like my favorite movie villain that I've ever seen in my whole life. And I swear, no matter how many times they try to redo the Joker, nothing will beat Heath Ledger's performance for me. Like, there's just something about his performance that just really speaks to me. I just love it so much. And the Joker is what makes this movie. Like, let's be real, like, the Joker is freaking incredible. But this movie's also just like freaking phenomenal. Like, the screenplay of this movie is so good. This is another Christopher Nolan movie, and I feel like the Joker in this movie also has some of the best quotes of all time, and I feel like I'm always quoting this movie too. And I love Christian Bale as Batman. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion, I think, but I personally think he might be my favorite Batman. I don't really know, but I love this movie so much. The sixth movie on this list is gonna be Parasite, which, yes, I know this just came out last year, but I don't even care. It's an all-time favorite. I literally screamed at the top of my lungs when Parasite won Best Picture at the Oscars last year. And this movie is actually a Korean film, and it follows this family in Korea who's very poor, and they start to work for this very rich family. Oh my god, this movie is a masterpiece. This is one that I've also watched like 3 or 4 times now, and every time I pick up on something else. And all of the thought that went into the production of this movie and the screenplay of this movie and the acting, like every little thing was well thought out, and it's just freaking incredible. Like, if you look up all the symbolism of like the stairs in this movie and the windows, like everything about it was so well thought out and planned. And there were some scenes in this movie that had my heart freaking racing watching it, and then by the end I was like crying. And there were some scenes in this movie that is some of the best scenes that I've ever seen in a movie in my life. Like, they're just so good. Alright, the next movie is gonna be Blade Runner 2049. Oh my gosh, dude, I went and saw this in IMAX like 2 or 3 times in theaters because what an experience this movie is. I'm not even the biggest fan of the first Blade Runner movie. Like, I thought it was good and the concept was good, but this one just took it to like a whole different level for me. And I'm a huge fan of Ryan Gosling. I really love Ryan Gosling, and I love how he just always kind of plays this like silent, heroic type of character like this. He's just so good at it. This movie has some of the best music. Like, the score literally gives me chills all over my body. Like, it's so good. I love the sound of like the motorcycle kind of sound of like traveling through the air when it's like, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen the movie, then like watch it. What are you even doing? But this is one of those like epic sci-fi stories that just like, and like Ana de Armas, she's so good in this. Like, her and Ryan Gosling's chemistry is so cute, and Joy is one of my favorite characters that I've ever seen. She's so soft. Yeah, I love this movie with my whole entire soul. The next movie on this list is gonna be Prisoners, which this movie is like a thriller kind of mystery movie. I had such an obsession with this movie my first year in college, like right when this movie came out. I literally, for like about a year, I had an urge to want to watch this movie almost like every single day. And I swear I was watching this movie multiple times a week for months. I just can't get enough of this movie. I don't know what it is about this movie, but I just love it so much. I love Jake Gyllenhaal as Detective Loki. It's one of my favorite characters that Jake Gyllenhaal has ever played. And I love Hugh Jackman as this father who his daughter just went missing and he's trying to like figure out how he can save his own family. And this movie is directed by the same director as Blade Runner 2049. This is Denis Villeneuve's one of his first movies. I love this director so much. I love these actors so much. And there's so many actors too in this movie. Like Viola Davis is in there. The kid from 13 Reasons Why is in there. Yeah, I'm just kind of obsessed with this movie. We also, like me and my sister kind of made it a tradition too to watch this movie every Thanksgiving, which is kind of weird, but because the kids in this movie go missing on Thanksgiving. So, I mean, I don't know if that's like a great tradition or not, but I just love this movie. I just want to rewatch it like every day. All right, and the next movie on this list is Nightcrawler, which is another Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I know, he's my favorite actor for a reason, okay? And this movie is one of my all-time favorites because Lou Bloom is probably my favorite character that I've ever seen Jake Gyllenhaal play. This movie deserved Oscars, and I will fight for the rest of my life to say that this movie should have won some Oscars. Jake Gyllenhaal should have at least been nominated for this role. Like, what even in the hell? This one feels more like a real representation of Los Angeles to me because this movie just shows the grittiness, like the raw, like the dirty side of Los Angeles. And I just love characters like Lou Bloom. I love characters that you don't even know whether you can trust them or not. You think they're like a little bit unhinged. This movie is just incredible. Like this screenplay is one of my favorite screenplays that I've ever seen in a movie. And I just love the vibes. I love like the dark, gritty world of Los Angeles vibes in this movie and like the newsroom and like, oh, I love it. All right, the 10th movie on this list is gonna be Mean Girls, which I know this one also might make me look like a basic bitch, but I don't even care. I love Mean Girls. I grew up on Mean Girls, okay? This movie came out when I was in 4th grade. And I saw it when I was in 4th grade, and ever since then I've just been obsessed with it. Mainly because I love Rachel McAdams, and her playing Regina George is my favorite role that she's ever played. I love seeing Rachel McAdams play this mean girl. And this movie is literally the most quotable movie of all time. Like, I think I quote Mean Girls on a daily basis. There's no situation in life where you can't throw in a Mean Girls quote, you know? It's just, there's always an opportunity. I really love Mean Girls, and I feel like Mean Girls was one of the like first of its time, you know? I feel like this is one of those staple teen movies that is just, oh, the best. All right, the next movie on this list is gonna be The Shape of Water, which this one was also a Best Picture winner at the Oscars, and I like lost my marbles when it won Best Picture because it is so deserving, and I'm so happy that the Oscars like acknowledge the fact that this movie is a freaking piece of art. And this movie, if you didn't know, it's about this woman played by Sally Hawkins who falls in love with this merman creature kind of thing. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain and it sounds weird when I try to explain it, but holy crap, it is so good. It is so poetic and it is so moving. I love this movie so much. I love the vibe of it, like the directing style and the cinematography and the score, like the music in it. It's just so soft and so beautiful, and the ending of this movie actually makes me bawl my eyes out. Like, I can't even explain why. Just that last shot and the last like few words of this movie freaking bawl my eyes out every time. I'm just like a mess. This movie's just precious, honestly. It's so cute. All right, the next movie on this list is gonna be Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse. This is the animated Spider-Man movie that they released like 2 years ago. And honestly, I feel like this is my favorite Spider-Man that I've seen so far because I've always been a huge fan of Marvel movies and I've always been a huge fan of the Spider-Man character and like Peter Parker. But honestly, Miles Morales as Spider-Man is like even more interesting to me and more entertaining. And I adore this movie so much. Like, everything about this movie is so good. The freaking screenplay in this movie kills me. Like that one shot, if you look up the screenplay online, when he's like falling, but like the shot flips upside down and then it says he is rising, and like It literally gives me goosebumps, honestly, just thinking about it. And I love this character of Miles Morales. I love his whole family. His family dynamics are really strong in this movie. And the comedy in this movie, holy shit, it's so on point. Like, it is so funny for an animated movie. Like, definitely one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And the music in this movie! This movie introduced me to that song Sunflower by Post Malone that became so popular after this movie. But I feel like, honestly, this whole movie in general has some of the best soundtrack. Like, it's so good. It's the only animated movie that's featured on this list because it is the best. And I just kind of love the fact that this animation style makes it look like it's directly out of a comic book. Like, it's like the most accurate comic book adaptation kind of thing I've ever seen. It's so cool. Alright, the next movie on this list is Gone Girl! Gone Girl is one of my favorite books of all time, as you might know, but it's also one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I feel like this is one of the best book-to-movie adaptations that I've ever seen in my life. They cast Nick and Amy, like the characters, so perfectly in this, and Rosamund Pike as Amy is just like everything I needed. I just love this movie so much. Like, this is another movie that I've watched it multiple times, and every time I just like, I love it. And if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, then like you will be so shook by the plot twist in this movie or book. I did personally read the book before I saw the movie, but I enjoyed them both the same, honestly. Like, this movie is just so good. It's one of the best like thriller mystery stories that I've ever seen. The next movie on this list is Booksmart, which this one's also a pretty recent movie. I think this one came out last year, but this one is just everything. It's one of my favorites because it's so funny. This is like a young adult kind of like comedy movie. Oh my god, this movie is so funny, and I love the fact that this movie is very feminist, and one of the two girls in this movie is a lesbian, so there's definitely some great representation in this movie. Oh my god, it's literally one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It has two of the most relatable main characters for me. The fact that they just like studied so hard and tried to do their best in high school and never partied, like, that was me in high school. I was such a nerd, and I just feel like so seen in this movie. And yeah, like as I said, the comedy, oh my god, I was cracking up. I still crack up so much every time I watch this movie. It's so good. And I love that it's directed by a female, Olivia Wilde, and it's just great. I love it so much. I love the chemistry of these two lead actresses, the chemistry that they have together as best friends just feels so genuine and real. Alright, the next movie on this list is Little Women, and yes, I mean the one from 2019 last year. I love this movie so much! I've already watched this one too about 3 times. This movie completely took me by surprise because I actually saw this movie this year on my 25th birthday in January. I had never read the book, I had never seen the other Little Women movies, and I had no idea how much this movie would mean to me when I watched it. And I honestly feel like Jo March is one of the most relatable characters I've ever seen in my whole freaking life. I love Saoirse Ronan so much, love Florence Pugh, I love Greta Gerwig, the director, like, even Laura Dern is in this, Meryl Streep, like the whole cast is just incredible. And I just love how feminist and real and amazing this story is. I love that it's a story that focuses mainly on sister relationships and mother and daughter relationships and just all of the female empowerment. It makes me cry so much. Even the second time I watched this movie, like from the halfway point all the way to the end, I'm just like bawling my eyes out basically. And this was one that I went back and saw in theaters again with my mom. I just like had to take her because I was like, this is beautiful and I think we all need to see this movie. Like, everyone needs to see this movie. It's just amazing. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. Then the last movie on this list is The Wolf of Wall Street. So funny. This movie's so funny. I love Leonardo DiCaprio in this. I love Margot Robbie in this. And their chemistry in this movie is just freaking amazing. I know that this movie is 3 hours long, and it definitely broke the record for saying the F word almost like the most times I think in a movie. I know that this movie is mainly a lot of nudity, sex, drugs, partying, and doing illegal things, but I love this movie so much. I love Leonardo DiCaprio in this role. Like, honestly, he should have won an Oscar for this role because he is so good as Jordan Belfort. Every friggin' scene in this movie just cracks me up. And I love the fact that it's directed by Martin Scorsese. Like, it's such a well-directed, well-scripted, well-acted movie. Those are all of my favorite movies of all time. There are definitely so many more that I could have added onto this list, but I honestly just don't want this video to be like so long, like going on for hours and hours, because it definitely could. Once I get started talking about movies, it can be a long ass time. But if you would like to see a more extensive list of some more of my favorite movies of all time, I will leave the Letterboxd link down below. And if you didn't know, Letterboxd is a really great resource for like finding new movies and finding all these different lists. You can make a profile. It's basically like a Goodreads account, but instead of books, it's for movies, and it's just fantastic. I actually like using Letterboxd a lot more than other things like IMDb or like Rotten Tomatoes, because Letterboxd is where more of like the film lovers are at, so I feel like the ratings are more accurate for people who love films, whereas I feel like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes is more like general audiences that go and see films, but Letterboxd feels like it's more catered to like the film loving people, you know? But yeah, so I will leave that link down below if you want to check that out. And please let me know, do you agree? Like, are these movies also some movies that you consider to be your all-time favorites? Or what are some of your all-time favorite movies that I might not have mentioned in this video? And also, do you have any movie recommendations for me? Because I'm always interested in checking out more films, obviously. And I miss going to the movie theaters so bad. I think this is like the longest I've ever gone in my life without going to the movie theaters because, you know, COVID. And I don't know when the movie theaters are opening again, so rip. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye.